For so many in this world, the idea of family is followed by a certain word, and that's tradition. We tend to like to keep things the same way in this world. Celebrate birthdays the same way at the same time each and every year, have holiday parties where everyone cooks the same meal. It's just kind of the way that our culture has been brought up across the world, and it's different cultures. Well, for one family in Perry Township, tradition falls in athletics. The last name is Durio, and this year they have two girls on the softball field that are tearing things up and putting the Panthers at a state level and in a state championship conversation. And it's because of the family that they were brought up in. This is McKenna and Gia. This is Behind the Athlete, and I'm John Bazika. McKenna is a senior pitcher and Gia is a junior catcher. However, their mom, Marcy, was a star at Perry, and that's where our story begins.
I played volleyball, basketball, and softball for Perry. Obviously, softball was my favorite. I played back. I graduated in 1989. This field did not have a dugout. It did not have a fence. So I actually have the home run record because I was fast and we didn't have a fence. So I ran them out. It wasn't I was hitting them over the fence. I then went on to get a scholarship at Ohio University to play softball.
Marcy is in the Perry Sports Hall of Fame for her high level of play. Her husband wrestled at OU, although it brings us now to McKenna and Gia. Pressure can often be a big thing when a family member was as good as mom.
I wouldn't say there's added pressure. It gives me motivation. Like, she's in the Hall of Fame, and we just got the new our community center that's onto the school, and like you can go in there and you can see her picture, and like I always see it and I'm like, all right, that's what I'm striving for. That's what I want to be able to say, that I'm in there with my mom.
Tell you what though, Kenna is a special player. A senior headed to Wright State next season. She just has a great set of pitches.
I've always referred to her as kind of a bulldog in the circle. She gets after it, okay? She hates to lose. She's a grinder. The way of her pitching style is a little bit of an intimidator, okay? She works at a very fast pace. The hitters are always coming off of her pace. She, if you remember Monica Seles in tennis, like a grunter at times, that's Kenna when she's throwing. She slaps her glove off of her thigh. I mean, it's a different experience when McKenna's on the mound, and I think more than anybody, she strikes kind of fear into the opposing team's hitters.
She is a fierce competitor. I remember we were at a tournament one time, and she was not pitching at the time, and bases were loaded, and the coach asked her, she was actually filling in on another team. The bases were loaded. He called timeout, brought them all over, and he said, okay, who wants the ball? Kenna was the first one to say, I want it, I want to be the pitcher. So she just has that competitiveness, and she thrives under pressure.
I pitch kind of weird. People have said that many times, but it gets the job done, and it's for sure, it's gotten me this far, so I guess something's working.
It helps Kenna to have a friendly face behind the dish too, her sister Gia. But the combo didn't always work, and it wasn't always a thing.
I grew up watching her. I actually wanted to be a pitcher at one time, and then my mom's like, do you really want to compete with her in high school? And she knew, like, from the start, all right, she's not as good as my sister. So she put me back there when I was 7, and since then I actually almost caught her barehanded one time and broke my hand, but ever since then I've been catching her and just grew up, especially alongside my mom, learning how to like help critique her and notice stuff with her and calling.
Gia is that cerebral player with a lot of energy, but having her in a Perry uniform is a huge asset.
It's amazing. She knows me better than anyone else. She knows my pitches better than I know my pitches. And it's one of those things where like you always see pitchers shaking off like the catcher, like the coach calling the pitches, and I never have to do that because I know she's always going to make the right call.
One summer she broke her arm and she wasn't able to catch, and she sat beside me every single pitch, and I'd be like, Gia, what would you throw this person? And she learned so much just that one summer. She's willing to learn and listen, and just her passion. Sometimes, as they said, you know, it comes across as, you know, because she does. She speaks her mind. She wants to win. Bottom line, she will do whatever it takes to win a game.
Ultimately, for Coach Doherty, having sisters on the same team is a good thing.
I think like any sisters at times, you can see them, they get after each other, and they've got sort of that relationship where they can communicate at times without saying a word. And other times, I think that because of their long history together, sometimes things get read into maybe what was said. That doesn't happen with some of our other teammates. And sometimes those things boil over between the two of them. But at the end of the day, you can tell they love each other, they care about each other, and it really raises the competitive nature of everybody on our team.
So for the Durio family, the idea of competition is simply a hallmark in their family name. I was talking to Marcy and the two girls, and it was interesting. I brought up the idea of a holiday dinner and playing cards, and they simply said that it's probably better to be on the same team than to be going against each other. I guess that's how heated things can be, but it's why they've achieved so much success in what they do. For WHBC Sports, I'm John Bazzico.